Salute and thank you, NERDSoul. Lay Ill Kid at OneYoungsta. Hold it down, bring that StreetGeek and NERDSoul. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's go. Because we talking about Daredevil, Bone Again. But we are not by ourselves. We're going to have people in here tonight. And first up, we have writer, director extraordinaire. I give to you, Jay Shear.
I'm back every week coming at you with Daredevil commentary. And we don't have Solar yet. I know Solar's coming.
He'll be here later. But
it's always good to hear what he has to say because he has not been agreeing with me on this show, and so it's good to hear what his takes are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you have to think about this too.
All right, so we have 2 episodes this week. So we got episode 5 and 6. Episode 5's name was it was With Interest. And then episode 6 was Excessive Force. So I'll start out. I guess we can talk about 5 first. So because I know we gotta keep it moving because we got 2 people in this show. We'll have a longer show, but we gotta keep it moving. So I'll start off with episode 5 saying this. Episode 5, in my eyes, is a perfect episode.
Oh, really?
It gave me everything I needed. It was a nice bottle episode. And it tied in so many things that just gave me the good MCU feels.
Ooh.
So I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And you guys already know, if you watch the show at all, if you're new, shouts out to you. Thanks for rolling through. But I love Kamala's family. Kamala's family, I love them. So I was like, hey, isn't that? And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. So, yes, I love Kamala's family, and this episode really worked for me on the MCU side of things. So I thank the show for that, because that really, really did a lot for me. So I like that. Of course, there were parts about it that I was just like, oh, we gotta get through the stealing stuff. But I loved the interactions that we got. So yeah. How about you on episode 5?
So we might have the reverse opinion on this one, because I did not like episode 5 for the reason.
Man.
So for some of the reasons you're talking about, but I'll explain myself. But like, I actually really liked episode 6. So, okay. So the part about Daredevil that I don't like right now is that I feel like Netflix Daredevil is being corrupted by MCU Daredevil.
Ooh.
And so
okay.
So to me, this felt a little bit like they forced a character into a situation where I didn't feel like I needed that character there. I like that character, by the way. Like you said, the family's cool.
I can see where you're going on this. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it felt to me like it was like, now, if you had said to me, so one of my friends who was talking about this, who likes the show a lot, he was telling me that he had heard that it was supposed to be much more episodic, right? We talked about it being maybe 18 episodes. They reduced it down to 9. He was telling me that it's supposed to be more episodic. I'm like, that makes way more sense, because they're almost like they had all of these episodes planned with a through line that was sort of like longer term. And they're like, cut out all that stuff and make it shorter, And so now it just feels like we're getting shotgun.
in half.
Yeah, cut the show in half. It's insane. So what it feels like to me, and this is why I didn't like episode 5. It's not that episode 5 was bad as its own thing, right? But to me, it was like this whole drama that's being created. And now I kind of figure, I'm starting to understand why I'm having such a hard time with the show. Because if it was originally intended to be episodic, but then shrunk down, they're trying to go like, if this happens later.
Try to make it a, maybe, I don't know if I'd say, well, yeah, I guess it's still sort of episodic, so I guess kind of.
Yeah, but they're trying to like make the through line. So you can imagine sitting in the writer's room and being like, well, we already have these huge plot points and we're getting to them slowly, but now I've got to get to them quicker. Well, now what you do is you cobble all of the things that have to make sense for the ending to make sense, and you cobble them all into a shorter time period and a shorter time frame where you have to deliver those, right? And so it makes much more sense to me now why it felt so rushed that we got the White Lotus. I'm watching that too. The White Tiger niece involved, right? It's like, oh, because you had to get her involved because there was a plot point later on where she gets kidnapped. So you better put her in that other episode, or else it doesn't make any sense because we would never have any context to where she was.
Yes.
So, so episode 5 was frustrating, not because it was bad, because the whole bank robbery scene was cool. There was good action in it. I liked what Matt did. I don't hate the interaction between it, but it just felt like it was like, why are we doing this right now? Like, what's going on with? Why isn't there more?
Yeah,
Kingpin?
I'll give you that.
Why isn't there more Daredevil?
It does seem like we stopped everything to go to the bank.
That's it.
So in that case, I see where your frustration is coming from.
Yeah,
I see where it's coming from on that. Because for me, I was like, you know what? This is a perfect example of what happens when you're trying to just do normal things and you're like, is somebody robbing the bank?
Yeah. Right.
All right. Fine. Look, call the police, like kind of thing. So
yeah.
So I guess that's how I saw it, but I can see what you're saying where we're like, all right, there's this slow slog and we're finally getting to something and then stop the show.
Exactly.
Let's go to the bank.
That's exactly it. That's exactly how it felt to me. And otherwise, if I was able to take
cut out
that
9 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wow. I could, even if they say, all right, we're gonna have to trim like 4 episodes off, that might have helped us, but
yes,
you cut the show in half. Now, so yes, in that case, I see exactly where you're coming from. Yeah. Like, I loved it, especially like the way it ended, but it is like this random exactly. Like, if you look at the story as a whole, it is like this random like side mission.
Yes.
Hey, when you're playing a video game, you're playing God of War or something, it's like, oh, there's this little side mission I can do. Do this little side quest real quick. So yes, I definitely get that. For me, I'm glad that, and I know people don't like this movie, but ever since Ant-Man Quantumania, Marvel has been doing a better job of reminding us that, okay, look, we know Phase 4 happened, but look, everything matters. People are in this. They're not alone. Ant-Man's not alone. This happens in the context of the greater, and then we got the Marvels, which let us know it was other people there. Like when they had the Skrull refugees and they bombed the planet and they brought Valkyrie came up. It was like, so we're like, okay, cool, there's more people in this. All right, so now we're getting back to a idea of a larger community of heroes that know of one another. And that's why I like this episode, because Daredevil definitely knows you can't have all of Miss Marvel happen and Daredevil like not be like, and the Marvels. So there's one house that got completely wrecked by aliens. Nick Fury showed up there and no one's asking questions. So he knows. So he's, I'm like, I'll allow that. I'm glad to see that we're finally getting some cohesion. Like, okay, cool. Like Kingpin referenced Spider-Man. Right. We see Punisher talking back and forth with Matt. Like he knows about Kamala. Kamala. So it's like because for so long we were told to say it a different way. The other way is actually the most usual way we say it. But anyway, right. So Kamala Khan getting referenced, and then the love of a father. The little Funko Pop. Yeah. When I saw it up close, I was like, "Is that like a custom job?" He had a little glitter and stuff.
Glitter on there. I know. That's hilarious.
Are you gonna start selling these? He was like, "We have our own hero." That's awesome. So that was cute, but I also understand in the context of a show where we're trying to build this, tension and this, that. It's like, all right, this was cool, but
Right.
didn't we just see a dude getting drained of all his blood like 2 seconds ago? And now, like,
Right.
so yeah.
So to your point, as an MCU show in the MCU franchise, not a bad show at all. Like that would work.
Like
right?
The episode is perfect in its MCU-ness.
Yes, exactly. And I think I was not expecting a lot of MCU tie-ins, and so I'm kind of just thrown for a loop. Now, again, if it had been 18 episodes and we had like little splash-ins of a lot of different MCU stuff, there's a Spider-Man episode, there's a White Tiger episode, there's a Punisher episode, there's a Kamala Khan episode. I mean, okay, cool. That's what I'm here for. But yeah, Daredevil Born Again, which is such a character-driven thing. It felt out of place in that context. But I can see what you're saying, and I totally can see why people would love it for the reasons you're talking about. Absolutely.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Like I definitely get your frustration because it does kind of come out of nowhere. It sort of breaks up maybe their idea was to give us something light before we start painting with people's blood. Maybe that was it. But it does kind of, I don't know. It does kind of maybe provide a jarring sensation of like, Solar said tonal whiplash.
Yes,
like,
yes. What in
So,
the world's happening? Yeah.
Even the part where the guy was like, if you can make me laugh, if you can tell me a joke and make me laugh, like that type of stuff definitely is much different.
Yeah.
Than, so.
Well, and that guy in that conversation, I think on the phone said the F word twice, which is so not MCU like that. You're like, dude, it's again the tonal whiplash that Solar talked about. It's like that same thing where you're like, you're giving me Kamala Khan's dad, who's like the most PG guy in the history of the MCU, right? Like the most innocent, hopeful, like all that, and then on top of that, you're gonna give me like this more serious thing. It's just. Man, I don't know. I think for me, it takes all of my frustrations with the MCU and
it puts them in one section.
Bottles them. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, so it's not a bad episode of TV. It's just like it's like it's set up to frustrate me.
These are all the problems.
With
what you guys are doing in 30 minutes.
Exactly.
Like this is what makes me mad at you.
Exactly.
So all right, I definitely understand. I definitely get you. So with that said, do you think we'll see a what would be the best way? Do you think we'll see a sort of corralling of heroes by Daredevil on the street level side?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? Okay. I know we're getting ahead. I'm getting ahead of ourselves because we've also seen episode 6. Episode 6, just for context, I really liked a lot. It was my favorite episode thus far. And it was my favorite episode because it finally got to the point, right? It finally got to the place where it was like, this is the thing that Matt has been struggling with. This is the thing that Kingpin has been struggling with. And now we're going to enter the third act with them getting back on track into what we expect from them.
Gotcha.
Not like, because you could have a whole season where it's like Matt's like really struggling, but like I need to see more struggle from Matt. Like he, which I don't think we got enough of. I mean, people listening will be like, "What are you talking about?" Like he got in the fight and he was all upset that he got in the fight and all that kind of stuff. I just feel like we weren't in Matt's head with that though. We were kind of like, "Yeah, of course," like beat up.
I feel you on that. Right? Okay.
Yeah. So, but episodes. So to answer your question, I kind of feel like no. With the exception of Punisher.
Okay.
Because of episode 6. If we had stopped at episode 5 and I didn't know what was coming in episode 6, given the MCU tie-ins that we saw in episode 5, I would say, oh, maybe that's exactly what he's going to do. Maybe he's going to kind of train up White Tiger's niece to take over the White Tiger thing. Maybe he's going to bring in Punisher to help with that. Maybe he's going to now what would have been a cooler side story in my opinion is if Punisher was actually training White Tiger's niece the whole time, and then Matt had to deal with that. That would be kind of interesting. But it feels to me like what's happening is that Muse escaped, which means that Muse is still out there and needs to be dealt with because dude has killed 60 people. I mean, he's like that we know
60-ish.
Yeah, crazy. That's like one of the most crazy serial killers in all of like New York history.
Yeah. That's just wild. If you thought 60 people,
dude, nuts.
And 60 people gone, and like nobody really knew yet.
Yeah.
And he's taking jabs at Kingpin, and I guess in that case, we'll go on in jump into episode 6.
Yeah.
Episode 6 is just like I love episode 5. I love episode 6 for a different reason.
Yep.
Episode 6 is where I think this show is and should be.
Correct.
I loved the party. I loved the idea of sort of like this mob power versus like aristocrat power.
Yes.
And how those like rub up against the friction between those.
Yep.
Because she felt completely within her right to be like, I know you've had many allies. She was like, but all that runs through me. Yeah. And then even the other guy was like, this isn't a threat. This is more of a warning.
Yep. And that guy was from Hawkeye, right? He was the bad guy in Hawkeye. I
think he was.
Yeah.
Because he's right. There is a different level of like I can call a judge. Like, yes, you've got your street people, but I have judges that can like make sure that they sort of legislate from the bench, which is illegal, but that's a whole other thing, where they can essentially legislate from the bench. And I got city council people and stuff. We can make your organization have massive problems. Yes. Now, of course, crime will never stop. There'll always be somebody doing something wrong, but we can truly screw up your day and or days.
Exactly.
And that's something interesting to see them playing back and forth. I would love to see a show with that push and pull.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that is where this show could live in a very good way. Even when the guy comes to see Kingpin, like, oh, like if you're out of the game, you out of the game.
Yeah.
But also if I'm at the game, why you coming to my office?
Yeah.
So I think that we've seen the turning point. It's been a little longer, in my opinion, than it should have been.
Yep.
But I'm glad we're there. But
that's
go
exactly
ahead.
My feeling. No, that's exactly, you nailed it. Because we needed to get to a place where the final act made more sense. And I feel like they could have been building to this better, but again, they cut the episodes in half. So they probably were building to it better, right? Yeah. They probably had a bunch of episodes that were like just episodic in nature, but like this through line of like Matt kind of starting to turning back into Daredevil, but not quite. And there probably was a whole plot line into that. And they just rushed it all. And you know what? That happens to creative people all the time. It's nothing against the showrunners. Yes. It's nothing against the writers. It's just studio stuff, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
But now I feel like the third act is the third act, and it's going to be what it was going to be. There's not like they were going to like mess around in the third act and like do a bunch of different stuff. It's just we're going to the spot we're supposed to go to, and I think that it's going to. I'm actually much more encouraged about the show after episode 6. After episode 5, I was scratching my head like, we're not going anywhere. Like we're just like. This is just total detour and we're not doing anything. And then episode 6, I was like, okay, cool. Now we're back on track. Now we're going places. This makes a lot of sense. And then Solar showed up and we're going places.
So guys, give a shout out to Solar Grayson. What's up?
Hey guys, this is Solar Gray, the cinematic source. We're finally coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. I got caught up at a bank, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was tough
Trying to
there.
deposit my pay. And all of a sudden, these dudes with skittle heads came in. But there was a cool blind guy there, so that was kind of neat.
So I'll throw it. Since you're here, Solar, going to give me an idea of. Well, Let me hear your thoughts on episode 5. Real quick, when it comes to the bank, since you referenced the bank, how are you feeling about that episode? I want to see which side you fall on.
Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
favorite episode so far.
Episode 5 was?
Yeah, it absolutely was. And I'll tell you why. I don't go into this stuff saying, dude, it's called a superhero thing. Let me see the superhero. There are two types of stories that I really like, especially with serialized storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, the bottle episodes. I love bottle episodes. Call it the fact that I grew up in the 80s and Die Hard is one of the perfect movies that there are out there. Okay. But I like extraordinary person in extraordinary circumstances. How we gonna get out? I know y'all are about the action, but even on that front, best fight scene of the entire show so far was in that stairwell. I felt something other than awesome. No, I mean, when that gun dropped and he pulled that leg lock and silent catching of that 12 gauge, spoilers, I'm like, bruh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
absolutely that. Now I'm not gonna say that it was a perfect episode. Okay, I'm not gonna say that at all because okay, yes, I know your daughter is Miss Marvel. I get it.
Well, the guy is proud of his daughter. You know what I'm saying? The guy is proud of his daughter. So
I'm proud of mine too.
You know what I'm saying? He's
And,
proud of his daughter.
and if my kid
let
was
it
a
slide.
superhero, yeah, I mean, and if my kid was a superhero that saved 2 dimensions on her first trip out and got the family into space on a field trip and introduced me to a flirkin, I'd be all there too. Okay? But from a writer's point of view, okay, I get it. Yes, you even tried to teach her the value of saving. I understand. I get. Could you put your Hulk costume back on? That was one of my favorite moments. Your Pakistani Hulk costume. That was awesome. Come on, man. Come on, put on the Hulk. But yeah, I loved it. I loved the episode. I loved the heist aspect. I really liked the antagonist. And then it was followed by, in my opinion, the fight scene with the most brutal ending of all the fight scenes.
Yeah, he's gonna need some rehab.
Yeah. He, in the words of one of my favorite antagonists, well, he'll never dance again.
Nah,
'Cause, I mean,
maybe a little
cha-cha.
2-step, but that's about it.
his cha-cha is down to a cha. But yeah, I loved that episode. The second thing I like in serialized storytelling is the superhero is now in a place that someone needs a hero and he can't do his normal thing. The issue of the Green Lantern where the ring runs out of juice. Well, who is this character now? The Superman without his powers, that whole idea of, okay, I gotta save these people, but I can't quite let them know about, my other suit. Like, this is a good suit, but I got another suit. But I can't let them know I got another suit. So I thought that I honestly liked the way that most of it was handled.
Okay.
And it was cool to see him crack a safe. Because Daredevil's powers are easy to say, but a lot of superpowers need to be made cinematic for most audience members to actually get them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah, I thought they did a lot of good stuff on that.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. Cause I loved episode 5, but Jay wasn't feeling it, and I know Jay can say it better, but I get why he doesn't like it, and I definitely understand. But Jay, drop why you didn't like it for Solar. See what he thinks.
Let me
Well, I
take
really
a
liked
guess,
episode 6.
just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me take a guess.
Yeah.
It's because we've had serialized storytelling, and then we just drop an episode somewhere.
Yes.
Okay. see,
Exactly.
I'm knowing you, Eddie. I'm knowing you.
And on top of that, I was telling Mike that it felt like the MCU encroached too much into Daredevil. Like it was almost like, let's stop everything, bring the MCU in. Okay, cool. Now that we've done that, it's like, oh, what are we doing? So yes, those two things are the reason why. I was telling him it's not a bad episode of TV at all. I just wish that it was, and my friend told me that this was supposed to be a more episodic 18 episodes. Mm-hmm. This episode makes sense in 18 episodes of episodic television. Absolutely. Makes no sense in 9 episodes of a show.
Yeah, 9 episodes serialized.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't hate it because it was still a good episode of TV. It was just like, what are we doing? I'm so confused.
Yeah,
like,
because
wait a second. Didn't the last episode kind of end like a
yeah, exactly.
And see, it's funny because I see where he's coming from. It's, to me, I was like, oh, this is a nice breath of fresh air. We take a little break, see what's going on. But then I can also see where it's like, hey, hold on. We just saw a dude get drained of his blood. Like, what happened? Like, can we get back to that?
In truth, I think it would have been better placed as episode 2 or 3.
Yeah. Agreed.
Somewhere before we started the whole serial thing, because we didn't spend any time with Fisk. Mm-hmm. So the mayor stuff was not intrinsic to the story. Mm-hmm. We didn't spend any time with hot therapist girlfriend. Yep. So that dynamic, like it was a bottle episode. Yep. So upon binging this after the season completes, and I do my obligatory 2nd, 3rd, and 4th watch of the season, I may put this episode somewhere else in the rotation. Just to see if that works. Because I can definitely see the. Wait a minute, this is like a bathroom break on a road trip.
Yeah.
Or at one hill that you're not expecting on a roller coaster, so you're like, whoa, click, 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 click. Like, why are you taking me up? This is the fall's not going to be as good as the first one,
right?
So I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
but also
it was the other thing that was really interesting too was at first I was like, why are these 2 episodes dropping on the same night? And then it was like, and then it was like, oh, I get it. They're both very short, and you can't combine them. it's impossible to do because there would be no way to do it, right? So it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see why you did it this way.
Yeah, and it's a way to be like, okay, we know we took you away from the story, so we're not going to make you wait a whole week. Exactly. We took you away from the story, but now you can get right back to it with the Muse storyline.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so since we kind of talked about that, I want to bring up what I brought. Oh, go ahead.
I said you wanted to bring up your love for Hoboken because they got nothing but shade on that episode. So.
Oh man, Hoboken is lucky that New York is expensive. That's all I can say. Because nobody cares about Hoboken. They don't care about it. What happened is the people that normally don't get priced out have been getting priced out of New York. So they moved to Hoboken, and now Hoboken is supposed to be this ritzy place, but really, in all actuality, it's a place for people that can't afford what they used to afford anymore. But you didn't hear it from me. but,
And we're about to get lit up in the comments.
oh yeah, this is gonna be a whole bunch of
I'm
people
just
that
saying to my
have.
people in Hoboken, look, engage. No, I mean, we're not talking terrible. If you grew up in Hoboken, then you know exactly what we're
Yeah, you
talking
know
about. And if
exactly
you're
what
a
we're talking
transplant
about.
to Hoboken,
Yep.
coming from someone who was born and raised in Los Angeles, no one cares what you think. Go on.
Oh man. So with excessive force,
Mm.
we got a whole lot to talk about. Especially with Mr. Kingpin. But before we get started, what are your thoughts on episode 6? And we'll open up with it. So Solar, how you feeling on episode 6?
I'm gonna call this episode the episode of 1,000 face twitches.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because almost after every line from Matt or Wilson, it was just,
Yeah. That's funny.
oh, well, I have to say something in a way that makes it sound like I'm out of breath. I gotta say, when I was watching this, you guys were the first thing that came to my mind.
Mm.
Because
Okay.
if there was a return to the Netflix form,
Yeah,
this is where it starts.
exactly.
Right here.
Mhm.
It's like the cinematographers and the directors finally found their footing.
Mhm.
They know exactly how to use steam and lighting on this one. Fine. And we get a little bit of tortured Matt,
Mhm.
a little bit of antagonist,
Mhm.
a little bit of the Kingpin,
Mhm.
a little bit of the fool.
Mhm.
And it was
Okay.
good to see him and Vanessa on the same page again,
Yeah.
you know. And I think it was very well written. Very well written. I think that this episode, again, if we were going back to the form of Daredevil season 3 and we're looking at this as season 4, now we're back to Daredevil.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
we're right back to it. Granted, I miss Karen and Foggy,
Yeah.
but I do appreciate hot therapist girlfriend. My question is, do you guys think she knows?
Mm.
I was gonna bring up something about her. I don't think she knows, but now I'm wondering if she's just using him because she knew she was gonna write this book. She has to make it seem like she was spitballing the idea for this
You
book.
think she's a
but
honeypot?
I don't know. The way she came off, it just seemed way too. I don't know. Like it just seemed like you really just want to get a book out of this. And like you want to pick the guy's brain that has kind of been around at least that you know of two, well I guess maybe two or three vigilantes. So it just that seemed very, I don't know, it seemed kind of scummy to me, but I could be off. Jay, how did you take that interaction? Because it seemed like I'm like, so is this why you were here in the first place? I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
You know, this episode has one problem with it,
All right.
and that is it kind of makes some of the other episodes look worse because of what you said, Solar. And the point I'm trying to make in regards to the therapist is it's like I feel like we missed like 3 or 4 more scenes with the therapist where I could more easily answer this question, right? Like, and by the way, I love the fact that he has the flashback of Foggy in this one, and actually considers his friend's death for once over the course of the last time. I know that Punisher was trying to get him to do that, but the fact that he has not done that in this many episodes was driving me crazy, and I didn't realize that until I saw it in episode 6, and I went, "Yeah, why isn't he doing
And who
this
knows?
more?"
Maybe it was in one of the cut episodes. I guess who knows?
Exactly. So I think it's hard to say because I think the therapist. I don't know. I mean, like there could have been a scene where this could have been a cool scene too, where Kingpin opens up to her about how much hatred he has for vigilantes because of what he had to deal with Daredevil. And she's like, "Oh, really, Daredevil?" And he's like, "Yeah. Can you believe it? There's like a blind vigilante out there. Like he shouldn't even. OSHA wouldn't even clear him to fight crime. Like, what's going on?
What is this?
Yeah, exactly. And if we had seen that, then I'd be like, oh, she knows, and she's trying to angle her way into this book deal. But I can't say that for sure because I don't feel like we had enough scenes with her for me to be 100% on that.
Okay. See, I watch a lot of stuff with therapists. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite YouTube channels is Cinema Therapy. Shout out, go check those guys out after you're done watching this episode. And what I saw when it was like, oh yeah, I gotta talk to you. So think you could hook me up with the Punisher? Maybe get a little thing. Now, honestly, Mike, I think you're tripping. Okay, because that's like saying that a food journalist is dating a chef only to get copy. And given that I know so many professional people, when they say, well, let me know if there's a way I can help, I am like, well, now that you mention it, if you're gonna open this door, I'm gonna walk through. Should I take my shoes off just in case?
But see, he didn't offer though. It's just I don't know, man.
Yeah, he asked what she was up to. In that couple's way.
But that's not an offer though. That's no.
Again, I know you are happily
I got
married.
my eye on her.
Yeah, I know that you're happily married, but having gone through a couple of people's fair shares of dysfunctional relationships, one of the things I've noticed is when a lot of people ask their significant other, hey, what's going on with you at work? That's offer enough. That's okay, yeah, well, you're bringing up work. Well, since you're bringing up my job, let me talk to you about my job. I'm on my feet all day, and a foot massage when I get home might be kind of nice since I'm standing all the time. Just saying, since you, my significant other, is asking about how my day goes.
Gotcha.
That's kind of, and it's like, are you just with me for the foot massages? Sounds like what you're asking. Or I look at it as the relationship opportunism. That's all.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you about this. Because I talked about with Jay a little bit. This episode is where I would really like the show to be. I kind of wish this show was here earlier, but of course, with them cutting out half of the season, who knows? But the power struggle, the push and pull between kind of like street power and that sort of aristocrat power. I loved that. I would have loved earlier on, like the night of the acceptance speech, him, maybe a couple of council members at the party, like, there's balloons and confetti, you know how they do. And then being like, yeah, that line about just because you're at the table, doesn't mean that line then would have made a huge difference in my perception of how the city, when they say the city, they really mean Lower Manhattan. They don't mean like Bronx and stuff. So when it would really help me see how the city sees him. Like, even if you weren't that criminal, you don't come from money. So you're not us. And you won't ever have real power because you're not. That would have been a great back and forth. And then even some feelings from Vanessa on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, don't be talking to my man. No. But nah, seeing them on the same side together and seeing that kind of push and pull between sort of street power and aristocratic power is cool. I like that. I was like, I wish the show was here a lot sooner because I loved that part. Like, I really dug that. Like, is that a threat? It's a warning. Because he's right. We don't do cement shoes, but I can call a judge right now. Like I can just do that. I can call a judge right now. I can call the DA right now. I've given enough funds to such and such. I can still make your life bad. You know, maybe I might not be able to like break fingers and toes and knees and stuff, but I can make your life really bad.
People.
Mm-hmm.
I can run all your businesses through so much red tape and auditing that, you know, you'll never get up kind of thing.
Well,
that kind of stuff.
I can buy and sell you.
Sure.
Jay, do you want this before I start, or?
No,
Well,
we already talked
Jay
about
did talk a little bit about it. Yeah,
so you
talked a
go
little bit
for
about
it.
it.
You hit
All
it.
right, all right. So I'm kind of with you, but I like that it took this long.
Oh, okay,
For
okay.
one major reason.
Mhm.
From the Wilson Fisk story,
Mm-hmm.
he thought that the job was X. So we had to see him get the job.
Mm.
And keep in mind, criminality aside, one of the reasons that he is so many people's favorite character is because he's us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Put the crime aside.
Mm-hmm.
He's from a poor background. He grew up in them streets, which means he knows as much about the halls of political power as we do.
Mm-hmm.
He had no idea about the city council just as much as the average viewer doesn't know about the city council. He thought, I make a decision as mayor, bada bing, it's all done. He didn't know about the red tape, the committees, all of the press conferences and special appearances. You know, he didn't know what the actual job is. He only had the person on the street's perception of what the job is. And I think that was very important for the writers to show us. Okay? Like everything he wants to do with the docs is actually admirable. It's admirable. It's good stuff. It's good work. We look at this as viewers and go, well, why can't the mayor just? Why can't the president just? Why can't Congress just? And the viewers have to go, oh, you think a mayor has power? Well, they have power over you. They can fix a pothole, a trash route. they can talk to a police chief. Okay? Can they get the academy closed? Maybe. You know, it takes me back a couple of years ago when Chris Christie closed off that turnpike in Jersey.
Bro, when he closed was it Jersey Turnpike? Anyone in Jersey, let us know. I think it was Jersey because he cut it off right at the tolls. It was crazy. I was like, bro, do you know how many people are up there? Like,
And
that was wild.
And that was as governor.
That was
which
his governor.
Probably the extent of his power.
That was
The
wild.
extent of the power that he had to do anything immediate.
To basically create a private beach.
Yeah.
Yo, that was wild.
But the fact is, that was probably the most the most powerful he could be unilaterally as the governor. And Fisk is used to unilateral power. He's used to being a king. Now he's a politician. So he's going, make it so. And of course, his actual right hand is going, that ain't the way it works, sir. I know you want to bring jobs and construction contracts and clean buildings and all that stuff, but gotta go to the council. Tell them that it's a good thing. Convince them that you're not a criminal anymore. Get them to get their donors to put the money into the place because the tax dollars still gotta pay the people that are already working for the city, and thing after thing after thing after thing, leading to the Vincent D'Onofrio face twitch and hand wiggling. You know? And he's just now learning that.
Yeah.
You know, where the aristocrats, the people in power, like good old Lalo, oh, sorry, the swordsman.
Lalo, yes.
Is like, we know how to use the power that you've got, and we have more of it than you. So you might want to start playing ball. Smile that doesn't hit my eyes. I have
what? One way to bridge the gap between, because I like what you're saying, like he's realizing it this late in the show. One way to bridge the gap between doing it a little bit, foreshadowing it a little bit earlier. Notice how Vanessa was managing that room. Like she was perfect.
That's her world.
It's her world.
It's all her world.
Yeah. So what would have been cool is to show a previous episode where she's navigating that world. And maybe she even has a side conversation with Lalo and says kind of like, you can't pass that lock because you know what it's going to do to some of my artwork connections and what we're trying to do at the docks. Like something like that would have been a cool, because it's obvious that one of the ways that Vanessa and Kingpin are going to come together, probably in the next episode, if not the one after, is that Vanessa's going to say, you really need me to do this well too. You know what I mean? Like, because you're not going to be good in this world. You're going to get frustrated and go beat people
remember
up.
He was kind of asking for her, but she didn't want to be around him.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, for 2 or 3. But this episode, I saw when they were having that conversation where it was like, politics and crime are very similar, and the fact that you have to know what they need. And I need a number one, a guy. Oh, sorry, my impressions always get mixed up. And she was like, "That might be true with crime, and you're right. Haven't done your job. Yes, I definitely get what you're talking about, and you are really good at what you do. But these ain't the people you're used to working with, babe.
Exactly.
You have to make them know that you understand that you are beneath them.
And these are people that folks will notice if they go missing. So you can't. This isn't Ben Urich.
This is a problem you can't punch your way out of.
Yeah, like if these people go missing, there's going to be an investigation. Look, I
investigate a 3-state manhunt. So if anything happens to any one of them, say outside a hotel at like 6 a.m, they'll close down the eastern seaboard to go find who did it.
Like, I mean, let's be honest. The whole Brian Thompson situation, we ain't seen people move so fast in the NYPD in your life. For a killing. It was almost like somebody rich died.
Again, the previous episode, it's like, I want an armored car. Dude, it's St. Patrick's Day.
Well,
half of the force is drunk right now.
So,
the other half is blocking the streets.
So I did. I wanted to also talk about. I cannot remember the young lady's name. The niece. She made the statement about her uncle. Her uncle told her the statement about something to the extent of don't rely on anyone to do something that you can do on your own. And I said out loud when I heard that, I was like, "That's a hard way to live, girl." Like, don't get me wrong, I get it, and I kind of get where that attitude comes from because I definitely I get it. That is a hard way to live.
Yeah.
That is a hard way to live. And
next thing you know, you're on an island and you're telling people not to tell you what you can't do. I mean, it's
yeah. It's but I also like what she said to Matt. Like, oh, so you say you're for the little guy, but you're not for the little guy because I'm telling you people are going missing. I'm telling you where they're going missing around, and like, so you're a lawyer. I know you can call somebody. You can, you know somebody. You know somebody that could do something. But I also get Matt's side. Like, if you're saying people are going missing, like, this actually might be a police. It's like it actually might be a police. You need an organized force, or you need, and I mean, I'm sure she watched the news. She's like, well, the Punisher, right?
Like, don't you know this guy named Frank? Like, did you represent this guy?
You still know the Punisher?
Did you represent anybody else? I hear there's another lawyer that talks to him. Yeah. Could you hook me up with that green lady?
So it is. I do like how she said that to him, and he was definitely moved by that. Like, he noticed that that impressed upon him. And then, of course, when he went to call the police, when he heard, when he was, got the call from her mom, and he was just like, all right, F it. I got to put the suit on. Because let's be for real. The average response time of an officer in any given city is around 20 minutes. And that's for something fast.
Depends on the crime.
Well, depends on the crime. But I remember
if it was 20 minutes, there would be a lot more bank robberies. Not that we are recommending that. We're just saying it.
Yeah. So it does depend on the crime. But in most cases, police forces are stretched thin when you get into large, metropolitan areas. I mean, because people do... I'm going to give the police just a little bit of leeway so I can make my point. People do call the police for everything. And then there's the fake police calls just to prank or be funny or whatever. So there are a lot of people calling the police. People call the police for like loose dogs, but they also call because someone's trying to stab them. So they do get a lot of calls. With that said, we'll talk about the gang in a second. But to make this point, I get where she's coming from. Like, what do you mean police? Like, they're not going to do anything. Just because I said, hey, some people are gone missing. They're like, this is New York. I can see an officer saying that. But to the point of her being like, you can't trust the police, goes into the task force that we get where... Kingpin handpicks all of these dirty guys, but the chief looks at them.
Motivated individual.
Yeah, the chief looks at them and knows them by looking at them that they're all bad, but they're still there, working for you. So, what is someone like his niece to say when you say, "Oh, well, not all police are bad"? It's like, well, yes, they are. If I'm with my friend and they rob a bank, I'm an accomplice, right? Because I knew about the crime. Well, if you're with a coworker and they break the law and does that not make you an accomplice? Does that, if they're a bad cop, don't you too then become a bad cop? And then what about the knowledge of a crime even after the fact that you like to charge people with? But I'm just saying the people on the ground are saying, yeah. So if you knew all these guys were bad and you're just sitting around, how do you expect us to look at you? If you just sit, you the one with the guns. Y'all the one with the guns, not us. Yeah. And you sitting around, they bad. So now this girl, I see where she's coming from. Like, well, fine, I'll go myself. But at the same time, boo, you just went down there with a jacket. You ain't had a stick or nothing. Like,
go get a gun.
Well, she had an iPhone.
Guys, I need to bounce real quick, but I love this conversation, and I'm going to come back and listen to what you guys have to say about it because it's going to be awesome, and I love it.
But tell everybody where they can find you real quick.
Yeah, really quick. Two things. You can find me at How Stories Work with Jay Shear, or you can find me right here on the NERDSoul channel talking about Daredevil because there's 3 more episodes. But also, I'm about to jump into a podcast where we're talking about the 6-hour live stream about the announcements for Avengers Doomsday. So you can also catch me on Orange Grove 55 talking about that stuff. But I love you guys. Always a pleasure talking to you. I will talk to you guys next week, and I will listen to this conversation because it's going to be great.
Cool. All right. See you.
Bye.
All right.
All right. So, with that said, Solar, how do you feel about the interaction between her and Matt? Like, do you feel like it's kind of fair what she threw on him, or do you think like, she should have gave him some slack,
I saw something that was very interesting to me. Mm-hmm. The place that it hit me was a decent white person finally hearing a person of color talk about injustice in the system. Because most of the time it goes the way that old boys went. Mr. Fiddlefat. Where it's like, yeah, but you did it. Yeah, but this. Yeah, but that. Yeah, but this. And she was like, don't use therapy talk on me.
Yeah.
you are going to engage with what I'm about to say. Okay? So, you're saying I should go to the same cops that tried to kill my uncle?
Yeah, that definitely
Or
killed
if
my uncle.
not those cops, their co-workers that are
Yeah,
my family because of all this nonsense. You know, it's the first time, and I think it's really the first time that Matt has honestly seen someone not just failed by the system, but someone with no recourse for what's happening. And that's I talk to a lot of people all the time, and when I tell them, like when I talk to them about certain things, they love bringing up the company lines. Go to the police, get a better job, just move somewhere else. You know, well, those people, they violated your rights, you can sue them, you know, that kind of thing. And I'm like, hold up, where is the person going to get the lawyer?
you're assuming that I'm alive after this encounter.
You're assuming I have the same resources and credibility that you do for being born. And
Just move. That's one of my favorite ones.
Huh?
Okay, you know what? You're in LA. Let me tell you. Let me ask you if this is right. The just move comment. Okay, but to just move, I need about $10,000. Now it sounds crazy, right? Until you say, I gotta pay for my last month here. I gotta
I've
pay for the
broken down.
first 2 months in the new spot.
Dude,
I gotta pay movers to move.
Yeah, I've actually broken that down.
So
With personal experience,
it's gonna be a
actually.
smooth about 10K. Even on the super cheap side, about 6.
No, bro.
And depending on the distance you're moving,
So
bruh.
I got a story about that because I'm in this conversation with people all the time and they can't wrap their heads around it. I'm like, about 7 years ago, my girlfriend at the time and I moved. We went from a 1-bedroom apartment to a 2-bedroom apartment. Okay.
moving on up.
One residential block away.
Oh,
All we had to do was put our stuff on furniture dollies and push them through an alley and then cross a street and we were there. Okay. Matter of fact, from the roof of that apartment complex, you could see our last apartment. Okay. 1 block away, still cost $5,000 because of exactly those things. First and last, the 2-month deposit, the last month on the last
the place
month
you're leaving.
in the place that we were leaving, the pet deposit, the cleaning bill, and we didn't have movers and we didn't even rent a truck.
Yeah.
Because just had to push it down the street.
True.
That was it.
See, like me and most people that I know, you're going a little further, so you're at least gonna have to go to somewhere and rent a truck. You know, U-Haul, Home
so we're
Depot,
talking-
Lowe's, something like that.
We're talking about 5 racks to move house the length of a football field. Okay, that's the real stuff.
And before you
was-
just move, you have to get accepted somewhere. You can't just
And
be like,
that
all right, I'm
costed
living here.
$100 per application. You know, it cost $100 to ask to move to a place.
That's why it's like I get it. And
You know?
sometimes it's so hot, like the whole thing with Hector, where I was like, look, y'all need to just get in the car and go. Forget everything. You from the police's point of view, or from the I guess the whole law enforcement point of view, you are a cop killer that just got off. I would not even stop at the house. Like I would literally be like, honey, pack up. If I get out, we're just going. We're going to Jersey City. Maybe my my sister or my brother can pick up stuff, but we're just leaving. I can't be in New York no more.
Yeah, no, we're going to Jersey City.
We're going to Jersey City where it's safe. But
and they got spicy food there. Let's go.
But anyway, back to this. Another statement that I liked is that he went on about this being, like your city, you don't have to wear a mask, but he made sure that he told the chief that they'll get overtime and they won't wear any body cameras. I was like, so you're not wearing a mask, but you're still not taking accountability. Because you're removing the camera because you're about to do something dirty. Just like someone would wear a mask if they thought they were going to do something dirty. So,
or if they're trying to protect people that are close to them. Because, so as long as we're kind of going over cliff notes for our meeting last Tuesday down by the docks, one of the reasons that they say that police officers that patrol the disenfranchised areas are brought in from far away, it's for their safety. So that if they have to bust someone there, the gang doesn't know where the cop lives. And it's like, no. no. Okay, yeah, sure. So, that whole, you're not wearing a mask, but you're hiding your identity and your whereabouts, because me. I love them funny books, and I love them heroes. And I'm like, no, Peter Parker needs to wear a mask.
Yeah.
So does Miles, because they got families, and they got bad guys. They have very bad. When Doc Ock found out who Peter Parker was, he rizzed up his auntie just to troll him. These are bad. I mean, it's a universe where dudes like Thanos find Dave and says, you know what, every year for your birthday, I'm going to make your life suck. Let's start on the first one. Give me that baby blanket. See you next year. So I mean, they need protection, but they spin it with that whole, what do they've got to hide? Why can't, the cops don't wear masks. Yeah, but you have to ask them for their badge number. You got to ask. Yeah. And
you run us through a whole gauntlet of paperwork just to get a public servant's information. Right. And when all y'all have cameras, but somehow it's almost impossible to get that footage unless it makes an officer look good. Notice when footage make an officer look good, we be having that joint before the day out.
Bruh.
Look, before the day out, here go the footage.
It makes a perp look bad. We got it before the day out. We got 6 or 7 different angles. We got a little After Effects in there, maybe some sepia tone. Kind of run it through After Effects, and it's always in 4K.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, you look at body cams, I'm like, this is definitely purposeful. GoPro has better quality than this. Like, there's no way this is purposeful that y'all got the standard definition. I'm like, what?
Standard? That stuff is at 140p.
But also in this episode, we're faced with a lot of people saying, we want vigilantes. Like, we get back to the BB report, like, yo, man, look, the police ain't doing that. People going missing. I don't know what's going on, but look, people going missing, and it's wild, and police ain't doing that. And honestly, we find out police don't even know that. Now, that is something that Kingpin was right on. It was like, the sanitation
worker can find a serial killer before the police do. Well, the thing is, though, the police aren't looking.
Yeah.
Because the force is made up of people, and those people can only care as much as their funding allows. Now, I'll give a lot of police forces the grace. Yeah. I'll give them grace when it comes to. I mean, I'm not gonna say propaganda works on me, but I've seen enough of The Wire to know that even when a cop wants to do something good, they've got to go through a bunch of red tape and make sure that the people who sign the checks think that it's a good enough crime. And poor person goes missing versus one of my donors gets mugged.
Yeah, because look, when they were talking about this is, I guess, last administration or administration before last, when defund the police, I guess it was first Trump, and technically into Biden a little bit. Whenever we were like, hey man, all this money that go to police, why don't we take some of it and
and
move
put
it
in the
over
after school
here
programs. Yeah.
and help people that have mental issues, because you guys have killed people with mental issues because you didn't know how to handle them, and since they were black you didn't really care how you handled them. So why don't we take some of this money somewhere, and we called it defund the police. By and large, people got mad, right? But then when police budgets went up, no one batted an eye, because as long as for beating people down, no problem. No problem.
Now,
Oh, y'all need more SWAT trucks? Go ahead. Charge it up.
now,
Hey
what
man, why don't we have some people that can handle mental health issues and do, we don't have the money for that. It's just budget's too tight.
Well,
You know,
they
so-
don't have the money on that because guns are expensive, and so's the ammo for them. And you can't exactly, you can't exactly civil forfeiture a therapist. So,
But with that said, people on the ground like Hector's niece, and I'll try to find her name. I apologize, but people on the ground are sick of being like, all right, there's no money, there's no money, there's no money. Meanwhile, whenever something happens, there's billions of dollars.
Mhm.
Like, there's a lot of people on the ground that are like, hey, word, I see what's going on in Ukraine. I get it, but bruh, we got stuff going on here. Nah, man, look, Ukraine needs billions of dollars. Word, all right, cool. Yo, a hurricane just happened. Can we get some money? You can apply
Oh, you know what?
for some
I
money
get where
if
you're
we
coming from on
approve
that.
you.
No, I get where you're coming from on that. I'm gonna just hit it with, I don't want to bring up the Ukraine because, all right, y'all gonna light me up in the comments, but here's the thing. World War III is really important to stop. We need to make sure that World War III don't happen.
I'm not saying that it's not.
Now-
I'm just saying people on the
Oh
ground.
no, I get that. And I say to people on the ground, yo, I get why you're mad. Because again, one dude gets shot outside of a building in New York, and it's a 3-state manhunt with a $10,000 reward to find the dude that did it at McDonald's versus
Eric gets shot. No one
so
cares.
what?
It's
You know,
Tuesday.
we don't have the funding to investigate that murder.
Yeah. All of a sudden, there's no
evidently not if
fun.
you're spending it on a 3-state manhunt.
All of a sudden, there's no funds. The budget's just too tight.
And it takes me back. And when I was growing up, my mom used to say, I ain't got no money. I ain't got no money. I'm like, you got money for another 5 pairs of shoes? Well, yeah, that's why I ain't got money for what you want. It's like,
it's like, yeah, not for you.
It's like, It's like, well, if I gave you what you want, I wouldn't have money for what I want. And that's what people are sick of seeing.
Yeah.
And
people are sick of it, and it's not. It's kind of boiling over into stories like this where people are saying, I want the vigilantes back. I don't care what's going on, but we want vigilantes because y'all aren't helping us. Some people are going missing. Don't nobody care. We
like,
putting up pictures and we calling the police. They ain't nobody saying nothing. And like,
well, yeah, and that's very much within the overall motif of the show, where the people are going, y'all are talking all this crap about vigilantes, but they're showing up and doing what the system is not.
Yeah.
So it's not that we want vigilantes per se, but they're doing what we want done when the legitimate ways to do so are failing us.
Especially when we don't ever see the vigilantes hurting good, honest people, and the legitimate ways do.
I don't know if they're going that far.
Well, no, what I'm saying is
villains out there, and the villains.
But villains aren't technically considered vigilantes. They
all look the same to the untrained eye. There's no difference between Daredevil and Bullseye. They're both masked men in costume committing acts of violence.
At least in the Netflix part, because I know we're kind of but in Netflix, it was kind of clear that the people knew that Daredevil was for them. It was kind of clear that they knew Luke Cage was for them. It was kind of clear. Well, Jessica Jones was kind of like, Jessica Jones was.
And
but it was kind of clear that the people knew that the good guys were for that. They knew
it was clear that
they were.
Some knew. All right.
But that's why I say the people in those communities that mattered knew.
Yeah. Well, the people in the communities, but who matters? Because remember, I gave you the late 60s, early 70s. People in the communities knew that the Black Panthers were an activist group that fed children and walked old ladies across the street. Outside of Oakland, Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles,
yeah, but
the average person
was told who the because they were told who the Panthers were from who. So once again, the people are like, so again, y'all the problem, not us.
And with this, we've got Fisk and the cops and the Fox News of the Marvel area, and since Skrull were brought up, the former president from Secret Invasion, saying aliens, vigilantes, bad, like the only ones we can trust are the Avengers, because we know that Captain America's on our side.
His name is America.
We just don't know if that guy's Captain America. You see what I mean?
Right. Because his name is America.
Yeah.
It's in his name.
We know that Iron Man isn't going to go beat up a poor person because he's rich. So he's rich. He's good. There we go. But this Daredevil guy, good guys aren't devils. Good guys don't dress up like spiders. Spiders, ew. They dress up like hawks and Norse gods and the American flag.
And the American flag.
And the regular people, and they showed this in Luke Cage, the people that are in Harlem, they know that Luke Cage is down even after he took over the criminal organization. Everybody else saw a black dude they couldn't shoot and freaked out about it. So remember, the Marvel universe has always been a little weird. The DC universe, you got powers and you save one little girl. Come on in, you're fine.
And Marvel, if you got powers, they're just like,
if you got powers and you're not an Avenger or a member of the Fantastic Four, you are suspect.
Seriously. And we know, and don't even get us started on how much we hate mutants. Don't even.
The thing is,
technically,
in Marvel, they hate
mutants. Haven't even started yet.
And if you have superpowers in the Marvel universe and you are not with the Avengers or the Fantastic Four, you must be a mutant because people don't have powers.
True.
And only mutants wear costumes like that. Except for the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. That's it. If you're not in one of those two teams, you have a
uniform? Must be a mutant.
If you're not in one of those two teams, nope, you are suspect.
Oh, man.
So that's the thing about the people on the street. The folks in the neighborhood know that Daredevil is good. Same way the folks in the neighborhood knew that White Tiger was cool. But it's not the folks in the neighborhood. It's the tiers of power that are built up in New York.
As the tiers of power are like, nah. This dude doing a little too much fixing.
Yeah.
Because what if he decide to come up here trying to fix something? Nah, we got to close this down.
Yeah. Because what do you want to do with the docks? Bring in jobs to the docks? You want to fix potholes? Well, see, here's the thing. If the construction crew are fixing potholes outside of Queens, then they're not fixing the potholes that might show up in Upper Manhattan. I mean, I know there's no potholes around Central Park, but because there are people there to fix it.
Yeah, we have to maintain this. See? Oh man, like I said before, and I'll take this into the next point. A mayor that just fixes problems would be like a people's champ. Like if any city, and whoever's watching this, feel free to chime in. Any city, America, if the mayor comes in and he or she fixes the potholes, cleans up the trash, and makes the playground safe, in the first year, they be ready to build that dude a statue or that woman a statue. They be about to name a local airport.
No, that mayor will have a job for life.
Because
matter of fact, that mayor wouldn't have to do anything else.
One more thing would launch that mayor into the stratosphere. Fix street parking. And here's what I mean by fixed street parking.
Okay.
You can park here from 4:35 to 4:37 on Tuesdays and Saturdays. But then on Sunday, you can only park here from 11:01 to 11:05.
You mean any mayor that looks at the parking in the city and says we are not doing this for profit anymore?
Yes. Yeah. Any mayor that comes in and says, no, all these meters, take them up. They're out of here. This is the city. You can park right here. This is for everyone. We have enough tax dollars because we do. We just can't go skiing in Aspen anymore. But we have the money. We don't. Just like notice how all these cities all of a sudden had free money for public transit. I thought we did. All of a sudden, here comes the money. The pandemic. All of a sudden, it's money. I thought we had no money.
You know where that money for public transit comes from. So says the guy in LA.
Where?
Parking tickets.
Oh, whoa.
That's what pays.
That's where they said that came from?
Yes.
I'd like to see an itemized audit on that.
I took a look at that because I had a friend that was
I feel like they're about to tell some lies.
No.
Whenever the city says being punitive to you over some fee money thing is how we're able to do a good thing, I'm like, right.
Hold up.
Just like all the lottery money is to fix the schools.
I'm not saying that that public transportation here in LA is a good thing, because it isn't. Okay? Because I'm sorry, the train systems are all right, but it still takes a minimum 90 minutes to go 4 miles on any bus. So
yeah, the bus is rough.
Yeah, the bus is rough. Okay. But I was in Hollywood just last weekend, and it's pay for a parking permit on the residential streets. You get a discount if you live on that street. Everywhere else is metered parking, even for motorcycles in Hollywood. So even if you go to the club, you either got to park illegally and risk a ticket or an impound, or pay $15 to $50 to park at the concert venue you wanted to go to, or you can take the train. You see how I
get the residential areas, but I think like downtown areas, I'm sure they have creative accounting for everything else, unless it comes for helping out the average everyday person. We can figure it out. It out.
That's the thing.
Any mayor that did that in any city, I don't care if it's Houston, LA, Chicago, Oklahoma City, Miami, Orlando,
honestly,
New York,
San Francisco, and the Bay Area still, they still swear by the BART. They're great with the BART, just like
any mayor that did that. They would be a king or a queen forever. They would never finish talking about how great they were.
Bruh, I will say this. We didn't have term limits until FDR.
Oh, yeah. Remember they tried to pull a coup on that dude?
For a hot minute, but then after World War II, the New Deal, the Social Security Act.
Because rich people wanted him gone. Like, for real.
Yeah, but the people were like, They loved him so much. He won the popular vote for 3 terms. And he said no more than 2 because I don't want this job anymore. Keep in mind, I can't stand up. And they're like, no, man, you're the president. You're staying there. He's like, no, I had Congress pass a law that says I can't have this job anymore.
I can't
2 terms. I can't. That's it. They were trying to get him in for a 4th.
So there is this weird feeling that I get watching Kingpin where I'm like, you know what? What if in a weird way he could make New York better? So like, what do we do? That would be what do we do with that?
Okay.
They say, I mean, nothing's ever going to be 100%, but let's say if he improves New York by, let's say 60 or so %.
All right. So
it'd be like, oh snap, So
you
like
read The
he
Devil's
actually
Reign,
wasn't
right?
he wasn't super lying about it. Like he really did want to fix
So
things.
you read The Devil's Reign, right?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I've
okay.
collected some of it, but I haven't read it all.
So
The
we
most
were
I know is like
introduced.
him basically going after the heroes. I remember Luke Cage was getting ready to run against him, and that's
Yeah.
all I remember.
Okay, so we were introduced to his new antagonist in this episode. Because in The Devil's Reign, he was shunned by high society.
Uh,
And it turns out that New York has its own kind of sort of court of owls.
okay.
And essentially, they're like, you did this with mob crime. You're low class. And by the way, we control more of the mob than you do. And we control legitimate business. And we control politics. And you know what? You killed one of our guys. Not that we liked him, but you
That
don't
would
do
be
that to our people.
that would be a good twist to throw in this season. To be
That
like,
is
this is
what
why, because that would explain why it seems like a lot of the mob guys are disrespecting Kingpin. That would
Mhm.
provide a good explanation on that side of like why that's happening the way it is.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what they're setting up because, essentially, I forgot which writer it was on Daredevil. Thank you. Do not bother me. I forget which writer it was on Daredevil, but they essentially, made it so that Kingpin was no longer Kingpin. Once he became a politician, everything changed, and then he met the real bad guys. So
Okay.
it's essentially, I came up all this through crime and stuff, but I've always wanted to make the city better. And then he meets Elon Musk. And it's like, we never really wanted to make the city better. It works fine for us.
Yeah, like we need for the city to work how we want, we need a permanent underclass. Like I know that we could have Star Trek, but Star Trek means that everybody's
Yeah.
we don't want that.
And there
We
was a
want
study.
this.
Well, there was a study that was done of, I think it was a sample size of 2,000 people. And the question was asked, you have a job, and now your new job pays you $100,000 a year. You get 3 weeks of sick time, and you get full paid vacation. The catch, everybody else in the company makes double. Or do you take the job where you get 3 days of sick time, $70,000 a year, no vacation time, but everybody else at the company makes 40. And more people took the second deal than the first deal by about 2/3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We shoot ourselves in the foot
Wow.
to make sure we have it better than to make sure that we don't have it the worst in the room.
Oh man. So that's what I think. I think that's what we're gonna run into with this kind of, I guess, this awakening for Kingpin and for Daredevil. Because I guess I wanna end on this and get into the last person I want to talk about, of course, is our resident artist, which is Muse. And I like that we've been seeing his art throughout the series, because I thought that those were just pieces to kind of help represent the show. So I like that they tie that in, because I'm just like, oh, it's New York. People are painting about, what's
you
going
didn't
on
get
in the
that.
city. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
no,
So
I'm like, there's another Muse piece, because Muse
Well, see-
specifically does art about how much he hates Kingpin and superheroes.
well, I'm
Like-
used to it all being in blood, but they fixed it, I guess, probably because of Disney Plus. So they fixed that. But I like how they fixed it, because you got the guy coming like, hey, look, man, I tried. I went up there. I hit it with the sandblaster. Then I even tried some new stuff. It's not
Sand
coming
and
down.
glass.
So So I actually took a
need to
sample.
get my hands on that epoxy because I work with a sandblaster in the patina job. All right, that takes away everything.
Yeah, sandblast is serious.
Especially
There's
if
reasons
it
that
has
they have
sand
like
in-
super gloves and stuff. Like sandblasting is not a game.
It is no joke. Yeah, it is no joke. And I'm like, if that epoxy can stand up to sandblasting, that's what I
Bruh.
need to paint my bike with.
And when he said I had it sent off, she was like, get to the point. And even Kingpin was like, look, man, I'm trying to find the point in this. Like
TikTok, man, TikTok.
he was like, it's blood. And the way he said that, I was like, do you know how much blood it would take?
And then you got the numbers.
Yes. 60 people.
It's like
probably
that much?
That's approximately 60 people that they know of. We have no idea if Muse wasn't operating in another city before New York. So we have no idea. That's 60 as we know of. That is a huge this is when I agree. This is slightly when I agree with the police.
Okay, yeah,
We can't put this out.
Well, hang on. 480 pints. Let's see. 2, that's quarts.
That's a grip.
Divide by 4. That's 60 gallons. That's 60 gallons of paint base. At 8 quarts of 8 quarts of Vitae per person. At 60 people.
So this is where I slightly agree with the police, because if you say, hey, there's a serial killer that we just found about and y'all talking about missing people, you were right. And guess what? It's at least 60. And these murals, they're people's blood. Like it's pandemonium. So I kind of agree.
I was
slightly.
100. Well, Kingpin understands enough about politics from crime. And that's why I love how he brought up that point. It's like, no, we're going to keep this quiet. Yeah, but there's a... And the fact that a sanitation worker found a serial killer before the cops, or found out that there was a serial killer before the cops even knew it was a problem.
Yeah.
After this trial, putting a dude on trial who said the cops were bad. Yeah, that's a bad look all the way around. So, shh.
That means that all of these people that have gone missing in poor areas, who are most likely black, you didn't even care about.
And
you
Latino.
didn't care, and you got calls and calls and calls, and you took those stacks of paper and you put them in the we'll get to it whenever bin. And now those things have come back to bite you with 60
his watch. That's important. On Fisk's
and technically, I'm defending Kingpin. Technically, all these 60 people were not kidnapped during his...
Doesn't matter. The whole point that they were
technically,
making...
this is like the last guy's problem.
The whole point that they were making in showing us and Fisk what the job of the mayor really is face. He's the fall guy.
Yeah. It's going to be your problem.
When he wants to do something, he's got to go through the city council. He's got to talk to the donors. He's got to do fundraisers to get money from the elite.
Yeah.
He's got to do all this other stuff.
Kiss everybody's posterior.
Right.
And I don't think he, like you say, he
union.
didn't think that was going on. But at his level, he had to. I mean, even throughout my life, and I've followed, by watching with my parents and news and stuff, all my life, I've seen mayors and city councils argue forever. All they do is argue and nothing gets done. So, so much to the point where I'm like, this is the system working as it's supposed to. The system isn't broken. It's working how we're supposed to think it's broken, while they're like, no. It's supposed to be stagnant. We have set the wealth gap how we like it. We have we got it how we like it. You think it's broken. We're sitting back like, nah, we chilling.
We'll see.
We don't want it to change.
The Kingpin finding
quick
out
changes.
what you grew up learning. Because a lot of people, again, look at how many people think that an executive order is the new law of the land. And it's
it sort of is, and it isn't. Because in most cases, it'll get tied up in court for the next 2 years or so before a decision is made. So it's kind of, but it's not
let's
really.
be real. The actual law of the land is what Congress says it is. But anybody who's 3 to 4 years younger than me was not taught how the government works very well unless they majored in political science in college.
Well, to their credit, executives' orders do matter. They do move mountains from time to time. And then you also have judges that legislate from the bench.
Right.
So you have that. So you do you got a couple things. And it's supposed to come from Congress. And then many times it does. But you got these judges out here.
But see, I'm talking like the
from
average
the bench.
person that doesn't have our life experience.
Well, yeah, true.
Believes that a president is a king.
Oh,
That's what's happened to the education system since the budget cuts of 1981. So we're looking at people born after 1981 who don't actually know how the government works, including Wilson Fisk, who now that he's in the job and has what he thought the king's job was, and he's learning what it is.
Yeah.
Which is, oh no, boy, your face. We're run by a council.
Yeah. When I saw this, when I saw the trailer for this show, in my mind, what we were going to get is kind of a scene of him winning. And as he's like walking back after winning or whatever, speaking with Vanessa, like an offhanded line, like, now we need to control the council. Like, or now it's the council. Kind of like that kind of thing. Like, okay, now we put the screws to them. So basically I can push through whatever I want.
Kingpin didn't go to college. He went to the mob.
He went to that street college.
Exactly. And in that street college, he knows what it's like to deal with the city council. He just knows them as the heads of the other families. Okay? But he's used to being capo to capo. Okay? So he's not used to the other bosses having more power than him.
Yeah, because he was the only people that he really seemed shaken by was kind of like the Hand. And the Hand, for all intents and purposes right now, are gone. The Hand is never really gone, but they're gone for now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was it, But with the Hand, he had one butt to kiss.
Yeah, it was kind of like Madame Gal, and that's it.
Yeah, one butt to kiss, and that was it. But with the council, which butt? He hasn't learned that.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have the council, but who really has the sway? Like, everybody has one vote, but let's be for real. One person really has 3 votes. And then who is that person? How can I put the screws to them? That kind of thing. He
also knows, because of his job, that that person has a world of people and companies and all that stuff insulating them from him.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, he could do the whole show up at your house in the dark kind of thing, but it's a little tougher. Because like I said, these are people that folks would notice going missing. It's have to be a little more delicate.
And again, what we're talking about would be a Kingpin show, not a Daredevil show.
True.
Now, I watch those. I mean, again, what we're kind of talking is Game of Thrones, dude.
We're kind of sort of talking about Penguin a little bit, sort of, which was
Penguin as well.
Ooh, Penguin was.
Okay.
And talk about a character I never cared about.
But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot that the writers can't do with the character because we're pretty much giving him his own show at this point. But
and maybe there was a setup like that with 18 episodes, but now since we're stuck with 9,
right?
Man, imagine your boss coming in and being like, "Hey, we know we would just give you 18 hours, but now you got 9 hours." It's like, hold up, 9, and you have to make the same point. It's like, okay.
All right, well, I guess we're gonna be pacing the crap out of these episodes. Let's do it.
It's like, people are gonna be mad about this, right?
But yeah, so I mean, there's a big hurdle to get. But yeah, so, but with Muse, I gotta say, I like that they're ambiguous with whether or not he has powers, because
I believe he does have. He has like this weird sensory thing, but they didn't really do anything.
He can be
so
invisible
we'll see.
to sensory stuff other than sight. So it's hard for Daredevil to find him because he activates his powers and he's invisible to Daredevil, which is one of the things that makes him kind of a foil. Okay. But my heart did grow 3 sizes when it came to the scene. The scene.
Okay.
You know the scene. He is not walking down them stairs with an axe.
Man.
He is, and he's giving the dude an axe. Okay.
When he said a tool is a great equalizer. And he gave, but man, I felt bad for him. I was like, you're gonna lose this, right? Like it's already in the script. Like you gotta lose this fight.
Well, I read an interview where Vincent D'Onofrio summed up his take of the Kingpin as half monster and half child.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, that actually explains a lot, because down there
I can see that.
he's having a temper tantrum.
I can see that.
Especially when he threw Alex on the table and started beating his face and screaming "mine." I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's a thing. And I'm like, after that party, he's got to blow off some steam. So I get that.
Yes, after that party of a whole bunch of snivelly people, poop eating grins right in your face on some, I know who you are, I know what you've done, or I got a good idea what you've done, and I don't care because you can't do anything to, no one talks to Kingpin like, he had to whoop him. Unfortunately, Adam,
it's one of my favorite lines
poop
from one
rolls
of my
downhill,
favorite songs is, I don't know whether I'm the boxer or the bag. Alex knows. But my heart grew 3 sizes when we had the bookend to Matt's fight scene. And he had to choose between finishing Muse and saving the girl. And he did what heroes do.
Yeah, because see, I thought he was going to do something where, like, he came over real quick, took out the little syringe that she definitely needs to get checked for tetanus or whatever. That stuff is not clean. But anyway,
he needs a full screening.
Yeah, full screening. Like, pull that out, but keep his eye on Muse and like do the compressions. But once he turned, I was like, man, he gonna get away. He gonna get away. Come on, man.
He's gonna get
away.
You
gotta keep your eye on him, but do the compressions. But be over there so you can be like, still do the compressions, but watch. But I was like, yeah, it's 3 episodes left. I get it. I know he gotta get away.
Since Jay is watching this in the future, I'm gonna bring this up, man. So here we go. Before you get to the comments, I have to hand it to the fight choreography, because in this season we're seeing something really interesting.
Okay.
Matt's rusty.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that.
Because season 3 Daredevil would not have had as big a problem taking out Muse.
No.
Even though
he wouldn't have had that problem with that the robber, the bank guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, this is what happened when you get out the gym for a while, you go back, you try to throw a couple shots.
You take a year off. Yeah.
Clanking off the rim a little bit till you get your elbows right. Then you get, that's why, man, it's all, look, you always gotta practice, always. Anakin told Ahsoka, always train your forms. Always train your forms. You never know. You never know. Because I like that. Because I was thinking that in the last episode and this one, like, man, he's kind of, come on, man, come on. I was like, but you're right. he put it down for a year, and a year doesn't seem like a long time.
Oh,
But
it
if
is
you're
with
not,
physical stuff.
yeah, if you're not doing anything for a year, getting back into it, it's like, yeah, I know what to do, but I've lost a little speed, and like,
But
yeah,
I mean, and Muse got some moves. He's got
yeah,
some moves.
that was a good.
He did
The
not know he was
interplay
going
between the
against
two
somebody that
fights,
knew how to take a punch.
yeah,
Because it was like roundhouse, roundhouse. And I don't know if you've watched him. I've recommended Extraordinary Ordinary Media, but he says, if you give everything you got to somebody in a punch and they just turn their head, you just apologize. It's be like
oh,
roundhouse.
man.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yo, that's why in most cases, most self-defense type arts are used to just get you away. Because you don't want to really fight, because you never know. You might come up against someone who knows nothing and you can kind of, really, really take care of them.
And you might
Or
come up
it
against
might be
someone
someone
is
who
tough
knows
as a
something.
tree.
You don't know who was wrestling state champion back in '95. You have no idea.
Honestly,
You know what
you
I'm
don't
saying?
know who gets drunk and starts bar fights for fun every Friday.
True.
And
So if they can take a punch or they know kind of how to move, your self-defense training is not made to be like the old men say, rolling around for 3 minutes.
No.
It's not made for that.
Again,
It's made
he
to get
took-
someone off of you and get out of there as fast as possible.
he took 3 roundhouses to the face,
And just
all he
walked them
did
off.
was keep coming.
Man.
And it was like, oh, see, okay, you do this, It's like, oh yeah, well, I'm Muse. I make art, and now I'm gonna make art out of your face. Kick, kick, kick. Oh, my bad.
It's like,
Let me just-
so you're like a real hero.
So-
Okay.
Oh, you want a chopped cheese? Let me go get you a chopped cheese. I'm
Yeah,
gonna just go get a cent. Yeah, I'll be at the bodega on 45th Street. And yeah.
So that rustiness that you picked up on, I picked up on it too, but I didn't even think about them making sure to kind of work that into the fights. Like, okay, it's been a year, and like, yeah, you got skills, but your body might not do what you want it to do, or it might do what you wanted to do, but not as hard as you used to hit, say, at level 10. Now you're back in it, but it's been a year. Now you're hitting at level 7, and you're like, oh, I thought I had a little more oomph behind that.
Like,
It
I
takes a
know I
while
can
to get
hit
back
harder
into it.
than this. No,
Yeah.
you could.
You got to get back into it. So now I'm hoping that he's back into it. I need to see. I would even be happy with seeing just the black shirt and the wraps. That's all. That's the black shirt and the wraps. That's when you know it's real.
I want to see a montage. Actually, I need to see a montage. But
I wouldn't be mad at a little montage. But since
in
we
the
only got 3
comic-
episodes,
Yeah, in the comic, there was a little moment where he had to take a break, and Elektra came back in town. She's like, "You got fat," and she had to get him back into shape.
man, she had to do Daredevil like that. I mean, he probably got a little something, but I mean, he'll get back. He'll get back.
This is Elektra we're talking about. All right, this is
Yeah, Elektra, she doesn't mince words.
no, she doesn't, especially not with Matt.
Nah,
'Cause-
because they're essentially a couple to a certain.
Oh, they're Batman and Catwoman, pretty much.
Yeah.
And
Oh man, but all right, I know we've been on for a while, guys, so I'm gonna go in and throw it to you. Hit me with the final thoughts and where they can
final
find you.
thoughts. I can definitely say we seem like we're back to form. So I'm really hoping they don't drop the ball. Okay, I'm really hoping that this is the tone for the rest of the season. Not asking for it for next season. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. But if the rest of the season is like this, we're good. Okay, I'm happy if the rest of the season is like these 2 episodes. Now, Are they going to give us an episodic thing as breaks between the prestige format serialized thing? I don't know. But the writing is definitely it's found its footing, it's like the third album of a band or a group where they really found their sound. Like, this is who they are now,
Yeah.
So everybody knows what the job is. Sure, the CGI could use a little bit more, but it's Marvel.
Oh man, yeah. He
But
doesn't need to jump on any more rooftops.
I disagree.
Please. No,
Daredevil
I don't want
jumping
to
off
see
roof.
that weird
Oh, sorry,
fluid
man.
CGI body.
Daredevil jumping off rooftop. If Daredevil doesn't jump off of rooftops and swing, it's like Spider-Man not swinging or Superman riding a motorcycle. These things don't work.
I know, but
But I let it go because I don't want photorealism in my entertainment, because I know that that's not the world.
don't you dislike when the bodies just seem weightless? That's it kind of takes me out of it.
I appreciate when it's good, and I
Mhm.
forgive it when it's bad.
Okay, cool.
Because if
All right.
the best way I can say is this: if the Lord of the Rings was the minimum standard for special effects, then we wouldn't watch anything, because that was the best.
Yeah,
Even after 20 years, it still looks better than Endgame.
like that.
But people
There's
watch
some
Endgame.
solid work.
Huh? Yeah,
There's some
exactly.
solid work in it.
So I know what the best looks like, but I forgive stuff that isn't Lord of the Rings. I forgive stuff that isn't Captain America, the First Avenger. You know, so
And I'll probably have to go back and watch Avengers a little bit because they got me hyped with the chairs. Yeah, I said it. They got me hyped with the chairs. Well, it was really the music, but with the musical changes and stuff, they got me with the musical chairs.
I can see like the CGI battles of the end of 90% of Marvel's movies has only been good twice. Okay,
Oh, only twice?
twice.
Dang.
Two
Okay,
times.
okay.
All right. Captain America, the First Avenger,
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
and Captain America, Winter Soldier. I mean, I said what I said.
Wow, really?
Right?
Only those
Outside
two?
of that, you could always tell that it was CGI. The verisimilitude was gone, even in the Avengers.
Well, I mean, I know we can kind of tell. I mean, we know it's fake, but I mean, I thought most of them look good enough. There's a couple movies that I'm like,
Well, that's the thing. It's Lord of the Rings,
oh,
good enough, and mostly everything else fits between good enough and Lord of the Rings for me.
got you.
And what I hear with a lot of online content creators is Lord of the Rings, good enough, but everything still falls down here.
Okay. I got you.
So my good enough is at a way lower floor.
I got you.
Because I remember Reboot. Okay.
And see,
Disney's Daredevil or Daredevil Born Again CGI will never be Ben Affleck not doing lasso stuff in a closet.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, and see, I also put good enough. My good enough also depends on like the budget of the project. Like, so if I know this movie only had like $1 million budget, I'm not going to be like, yo, I'm about to pick out every single. It's like, bro, you had $1 million. That's it.
Daredevil CGI is equal to or greater than Blade Part 1 Act 3.
I know, but it's been years. But I get it. But sorry, go ahead.
You know what? When I see Mr. Canadian Boy get cut in half and then go back and then his blood pulls him back together, that doesn't take me out of the movie.
He was Lamagra.
You know? When I see Killmonger and Black Panther falling through, or the Killmonger and Black Panther CGI models falling through a CGI model train tunnel, that doesn't take away the rest of the movie for me.
True.
Okay? But I do recognize that it is not photorealistic, and I'm letting you guys know I see it. I just don't care as much. But
let it slide a little bit.
Yeah, but if the rest of the season, especially if the writing, the cinematography, and the acting performances outside of the CGI are as good as they have been in episodes 5 and 6, okay, fine. Drop the ball with him swinging across the rooftops. Okay, cool. You know what?
We'll let this slide.
I can see face twitches in Vincent D'Onofrio and in Charlie Cox. I can hear when they switch between their alter egos by their performances. I have emotions for them when they interact with other people. I get a sense of the scale of the city and where things are. Like, we didn't talk about how close both underground layers are to each other.
Yeah, I
like
was
6
wondering
blocks
if he was
apart.
gonna. I was wondering if he would like ever like get either a hint of another sound or anything like that.
Nah, he was a
Because
little busy. You know,
well, yeah, true.
he was a little busy and kind of focusing on a little girl's heartbeat. You know.
Yeah,
And besides, what was he gonna hear? Another fight?
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, and honestly, the editing has the two characters juxtaposed so well, where they really
job.
are reflections of each other,
Yeah.
going through almost the exact same types of things. Again, I'm all in on, and if the first 4 or if the first 3 episodes were set up to really show how they are reflections of each other and they were priming us to see that, and now that we've got all of those seeds planted, episode 6 seems like the first sprout. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the plant. I want to see the rest of the plant. You know,
So we got about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours left, depending on how long
2
these
maybe
episodes
3
are.
hours. Yeah, 2 maybe 3 hours. I mean, they may pull the 90-minute season finale. You never know.
I hope they do.
So yeah, so honestly, this feels like Marvel has finally pulled it together and they're leaning in toward the quality over quantity mandate, which they strayed away from at phase 4. Yes, I mean, it's not perfect, okay? I get it. She's your daughter. You're proud of her. I watched the show and I saw the Marvels. I know who you are. And now so does everybody in the back. I get it.
I like that, man. I like that episode.
I like the episode. He's one of my favorite characters. Don't get me wrong. But in a 44-minute show,
I
2
get you.
references is enough.
I get you. I get you.
Two references. That's it. That's all we need.
I get you. I get you.
Because, yeah, I'm like, wait, is that Kamala's dad? He's lost some weight. He looks pretty good. Oh, yeah, he's in Jersey City. And he has a Miss Marvel Funko Pop. Yep, he's talking about his kid. And then his kid. And then his kid. And then
He only
come over
talked
to the
about
house
his-
for
he only
dinner and
talk-
meet the kid.
He's excited about his kid. He's the guy. Like, he's the guy. There's memes about people that like the second they see, like, look at my kid. They play soccer or something. So he's the guy. He loves his daughter, man.
I understand that. And if they were going to beat us over the head with, yes, Miss Marvel exists in this universe, I'm glad they did it with him and not with her mom subtly throwing shade.
Yo, her mom, man, her mom don't care who's in charge. She's in charge. And if she's not in charge, she's going to critique everything.
Yeah, and you know what? Just shouts out to the research, you know. 'Cause I think my favorite line from them was, "It's not that we don't trust you, Kamala. We don't trust everyone else at this convention. No, we don't trust you."
No, man.
Like, no.
Like, her mom
I
is
sharpened your stick. I know how you poke, and I'm not letting you go by yourself.
her mom is definitely the mom that is going to stand in the kitchen while her daughter cooks and say, "Oh, so you're using onions? Okay." like it's like, this is why I moved away from home.
Like, I don't know where you learned to chop those onions like that, but I guess no, you cook.
So you're not going to dice them? Oh, okay.
No, this is your dish. All right, this is what you're making. You do it the way that you do it.
And
I just know how to make it good.
Every edition comes with a Oh man.
And then she comes in clutch saying, "No, I didn't like your costume. It's too revealing, but I made you this one." You know, I'm like, well, oh, okay. Okay, you know. But yeah, so I was happy to see Kamala's dad again. I was happy that he was put in a situation where he needed a superhero. I just kind of got tired of him. I'm like, don't you have a son? And your son's cool too.
That's even funnier to me though. It's even funnier than this, like nobody worry about him.
But
we got the star. We got the star pupil.
I'm just saying, you know, because again,
we do have a son. No,
no, because that family is honestly, they are the first family of the MCU. Although they're not the first family of Marvel. They're coming this.
Yeah.
But before we get on too many tangents, so
Yeah.
my final thoughts are: I loved these two episodes. Episode 5, still my favorite thus far. But at me at the comments, season 2 of Walking Dead is my favorite season, primarily because I like character study. I don't just I'm not Mr. It's an action movie. Or how can I put this? There are two perfect action movies that I've ever seen. One is Die Hard with Bruce Willis, and the other one is Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen. Now, Die Hard, genuinely good. Shoot 'Em Up, the most honest movie ever made. It was called Shoot 'Em Up. Shoot 'Em Up.
And that's what you did.
Not 3 minutes of that movie. There is no more than 3 minutes at a time in that movie where people ain't shooting. So, you know, but there is no character study. There's no emotional beats. There's no quiet moments. It is shoot up. So that's it. But when I go into comic book properties, since I love comics as much as I do, I want to see the character studies. I want to see how these heroes are heroes and how these villains are villains, even though I might agree with them sometimes, Doom. And, you know, I want to see the storytelling and the character development, not just the fight scenes, not just the cool costumes. I'm not saying I don't want to see the cool costumes, because I love the cool costumes. But, you know, I want to see Matt being the hero, even when he's not wearing the horns. I want to see the evolution of Fisk from crime boss to having to deal with real villains. You know, I like that stuff. And these two episodes gave me that. And it gave me Lalo back. I'm like, okay, the swordsman's coming out. This is cool. Boy. I was hoping he would be a cameo in Young Avengers because I loved him so much in Hawkeye. And that says a lot because the swordsman is lame in the comic books. I said what I said. You know, tree. But if you know, you know. And if you know, put it in the comments, y'all. And Rob from Comics Explained, let him know. Just send us a link to your episode so we can put it in the comments there. Cause yeah, but yeah, the swordsman being on the little thing, and then him talking to Kingpin, going, "Oh no." I mean, people in this room can make a phone call. I didn't think it was a threat. I really thought it was a warning. You know, I really thought it was a look. I know who you are. My ex-wife worked for you, and these people are worse.
Yeah.
You know, I honestly hope that he and Vanessa are Fisk's team in navigating those people in the same way his right hand and his left hand are navigating him through the mayor politics stuff.
Got you.
I think that would be cool. Not because I love the actor who plays the swordsman. I was happy to see him in Hawkeye, and I was happy to see him come back in Daredevil. So yeah, and if you guys want to talk about a lot of this stuff, you guys can Come and check me out at twitch.tv/BID_P. Mondays and Fridays. Trying to do more, but long story. It's complicated. I talk about it on my stream. And of course, you guys can see me here whenever Mike will have me on NERDSoul, with the StreetGeek, NERDSoul, and the like and subscribe button.
That's what I'm saying, man. Just share it out, watch it, all that stuff. Final thoughts from me. I think we're here now. That we got a show. Took a while, but I think we got a show now. And I'm expecting these last 3 episodes to really hit. So come on, Daredevil. We can do it. We can do it. So with that said, of course, God bless. Good night. NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. Until the next time that you have to save a young girl from a rusty, dusty, shut down subway line. We're just telling you, peace.